Peace, YouTube world, Zilla23 coming at y'all with another video, man. Y'all already know what it is. Gotta get this wisdom, gotta get this knowledge, gotta get this divine understanding, man. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet, man, I'm sending you a heart full of love, peace, upward vibrations, man. Everything righteous and everything pure. I am sending enough peace and positive vibes your way. Alright, I'm gonna sprinkle that to you. Yes, because it's I in I. I'm just in a different body. It's I within I. Yes, So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get straight into it. 3 ways that Europeans, white people, have controlled the world, how they have dominion over the planet currently. I'll just say currently. So let's just get straight into it. The first way is colonization. So Europeans, they went through an age of exploration, right? They thought that the world was flat. 500 years ago, they thought the world was flat. They didn't believe that it was a sphere. So all these Europeans and everything, they starting to explore this, starting to go see different things. And then Christopher Columbus, 1492, discovered something that it was already human beings already existing there. And guess what? He never set foot in North America. He first landed in the Bahamas, right? He first landed in the Bahamas and then he went to Hispaniola. Hispaniola is contemporary Dominican Republic and Haiti. Yes, right? So this is the age of the European exploration. They went into Africa. They went into the Western world. And when they went into Africa, they went into the Western world. Everywhere they went, they didn't see themselves. They saw melanated people of a deep melanin concentration wherever they went on this beautiful planet. So they're like, wow, you know what? I'm going to have to get some power. I'm going to have to get some control because I don't see myself nowhere. I just see all these other human beings everywhere I go. I see melanated human beings wherever I go. So they come up with a plan. They're like, you know what? We're about to start controlling the whole planet. We're about to spread ourselves over this whole planet when melanated people, African people, have been on the planet since the beginning of aeration, since the beginning of creation, since the beginning. But when Europeans go and they want to explore, they're like, wow, I gotta spread myself on this globe. So they begin to, that goes into my second point, slaves, the enslavement of people, the enslavement of human beings. Now, mind you, in Africa, there was slavery. All race of people has practiced slavery, right? But when it comes to the transatlantic slave trade, there is no other slavery that can match the dehumanization of black lives, of human beings. There is no other slave trade, there is no other enslavement that can match the horrendous, inhumane acts of the transatlantic slave trade of taking Africans from West Africa and bringing them into America, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Jamestown, Virginia, Brazil, the Caribbean, and slavery in the Caribbean and the equatorial places on the planet was even more harsh because what grows there in the equatorial parts? Sugarcane. So sugarcane became a huge export for Europeans or using Africans to cultivate the sugarcane, the chopped down sugarcane in the Caribbean and Brazil and export it to Europe, Spain, Portugal, all these different, France, all these different European colonies. The enslavement of people really accelerated their growth. Let's take America, for instance, right? So basically, Africans are indigenous to the planet, period. But the Africans that were brought here, and there were Africans, it's record. You can look up a slave ship. It's called Clotilda. Clotilda was the last slave ship to have left West Africa. And it came out of Benin. So Benin, right? So Ghana is like up in here. Benin is like right next to Ghana. So it came right out of Benin. It was two white men. They made a bet. During this time, during like the 1800s, don't quote me on the exact time, but I know when they made this bet, taking African people, right? The transatlantic slave trade was outlawed. You could not take any more African enslaved persons, I don't like to say slaves, enslaved persons from West Africa and bring them into the so-called New World, the Western world. But these two men, they came together and they had made a agreement, like they had made a bet, like, hey, I bet you I can go get one more slave ship, right? And I can take it to Benin and go bring them back to Alabama. He was like, nah, you can't do that. Went, got a slave ship, got a group of Africans from Benin, and Benin had a really large role in the slave trade, just like Nigeria. Nigeria was called the Slave Coast. So many Africans that was taken from there. And then, of course, we got Ghana, right? We got the Cape Coast Capsule, and then we got the Elmina. So the Portuguese owned the Elmina, right? But then they sold it to the British because the British ultimately colonized Ghana. Yes, so they took these people from Benin and they brought them into Alabama. Right? Alabama has so much black African history. It is just amazing. And so they, even to this day, you can go to the outskirts of Mobile, Alabama, and you will find Africa Town. It's a town that's called Africa Town that still exists from that group of people that was taken from Benin into Alabama because of those two white men's bet. So basically, to make that point full circle, all I'm saying is that, okay, so America got its independence in 1776, right? Basically, when we count from 1776, the year is now 2019, right? So America began from not the enslavement. Actually, it began from the genocide. The so-called Native Americans, the Native Indians, this is the most least talked about genocide in history. Like, they tried to genocide the Australian Indigenes, right? The Australian Indigenes, but they pushed them off the land, but they did kill off a lot of them, but you can still cite them in different areas. But when it comes to America, the Indians, they're like nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. They went on the Trail of Tears, right? The Trail of Tears going out west towards the reservations. You see what I'm saying? So when Europeans came on the eastern border of the United States, they basically pushed the so-called natives of North America out to the west so that Europeans can occupy all of America. They're trying to have dominion over this soil, over this land. So, okay, they're like, dang, well, you know what? This is a lot of work. I can't do all this alone. So let me go get some people that's not like me so I can use them for my benefit. So there is a book that is called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney. That is a powerful book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. So basically, Europe went into Africa and got slaves, right? And now, it is sad to say, and yes, it is true, because like I said, it goes back to the point where I was saying that slavery existed on the African continent before Europeans got there. But the thing with African slavery was the way how we practice servitude is completely different to how they practice it. We still practice it as like, yo, you're still my family member. Like, you're still fam. Like, I still treat you like a human being. But Europeans, they would rape your wife. They would send your children like 20,000 miles down the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will barely feed you. You see what I'm saying? They will call you all kinds of names. They made you forget your language. They made you forget your culture. They made you forget your spirituality, your connection to the divine almighty one, the almighty creator. you know, that created the Universe. Like they tried to sever all of that. So that's the difference between the European slavery and the African slavery. So America got its independence in 1776, right? So now that's about what, like 250, 260, somewhere around there. It's around 250 years, right? But before 250 years, like the first slave arrived here, what, around the 1600s, right? So when it comes to that, it's like, dang, these people, they done got a head start. Okay, so slavery was officially abolished in America in the year 1863. In 1863, African American slavery was abolished. So we're in 2019. So that leaves us with just under 200 years. Just under 200 years. So we got our start at 1863. Europeans got their start around the 1600s or so, like when they landed on Plymouth Rock, basically. So they got a 200-year head start. No, mind you, let's say a 300-year head start, because as soon as we got released from slavery, we had to do Reconstruction, right? The late 1800s, Reconstruction. We had to fight through voting rights. We had to go through Jim Crow, the Jim Crow laws. White people can drink here, black people can drink here. You see what I'm saying? We had to go through segregation. You see what I'm saying? We had to go through all of these things. We had to go through all of these loopholes. We had to go through our own schools. Those schools had lackluster books, lackluster information. It's a sister. Her name is Mary something Peak. I forgot her name, but Mary something Peak. She would teach underneath a tree to free blacks, because when blacks were freed in 1863, majority of them were illiterate. Majority of them were illiterate. They didn't know how to read or write. Harriet Tubman, if y'all watched the movie that just came out, Harriet Tubman, she was illiterate. She didn't know how to read or write. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about, if you look at the anti-literate, man, oh my God, I'm about to give y'all hot fire, man. It's a war going on this planet, yo. If you look at the anti-literacy laws, look it up. It was against the law for black African people to learn how to read. Once upon a time in this country, it was against the law for African people, for black people to learn how to read and write. It was against the law. So we're trying to become literate. We have to fight through all of this oppression. We have to fight through all of this racism, the hangings in Mississippi, where it be crowds of white people come together just to watch an African American or a black person get hung, almost as if it was a movie, like they're going to a movie theater. It would be a huge crowd, and it would be advertised in a newspaper. We're going to hang a nigger today. We got to go through all of this. You see what I'm saying? And so now we fast forward into 2019, and you're just like, dang, they got all the power. We sitting here struggling. We sitting here trying to get it in, but they got all this power. And the very last way, the third way, how European white people have obtained control over the world is through a white Christ, a white Jesus. This was systematic. Michelangelo, he had went ahead and drew his cousin or something like that, and that's not the original depiction. You see what I'm saying? If you look at the setting of the Bible, 98% of the setting of the Bible, if you read it, the rivers, the Tigris, the Euphrates, right? All of these rivers are near like Ethiopia and all of the, you know what I'm saying? Even in Israel, Israel is still considered Northeast Africa. So Israel is like up in here, right? So we have the Suez Canal that kind of splits Africa from Israel, and that was actually something that was done intentionally to try and sever the Holy Land, to sever a Holy Land from Africa. The same way how they say, oh, Egypt isn't in Africa, Kemet isn't in Africa. When Kemet it literally means the land of the blacks. Kemet means the land of the blacks. It's like, so when it comes to that, The spirituality, the white Jesus, the white Christ. You know, a lot of so-called black people, African people still have the white Christ all up in their churches. All up in their churches. You can go to Africa. I was in Africa in July. I saw white Christ on the vans, on the buses, and things like that, man. Like, we gotta shake that, bro. All that was put into you. The same thing, you can go to Brazil. I haven't been to Brazil, but soon come. You can go to Brazil, and it's a big white Christ statue that's just, you know what I'm saying? It's a big white Christ there. You say, if anything, Christ was natty, just like this. Probably my same skin complexion, you know, if I don't say so myself. It's like, if anything, Christ looked probably just like me. You know what I mean? Because when you look at the historical accuracy, even when you can go into Europe and they still bow down before a white Christ, they still bow down before a black Madonna. That's still being practiced in Europe. Just like, so when it comes to the white Christ, that's only been around since like the 1400s. The white Christ was invented only 600 years ago. Just like, so it's been used to manipulate the minds and to control the minds of the whole world. That white is right. That white is the supremacy. And this is how they maintain control. So these are some of the solutions that I can say. You know, with all this history and stuff, I love history. That's where the truths are, so that you can understand. A person without knowledge of the history is like a tree without roots. You know, to the Honorable Marcus Mosaic Garvey, I Haile Selassie, Kedamawe, Empress Menenija, Rastafari. You know, so just giving thanks and praise to the ones who said it right, but they put it within I and I to put it within the I. You know, whoever is watching this, that you can absorb this and you can put this in your meditation, because you got to use your life on this planet wisely. Time is of the essence. Use your life wisely, brethren and sisters, and move wisely. Commune around those who are positive, who are wise at mind. You see what I'm saying? So that when you come into their presence, your heart is sharpened. Every time you come into their presence, your heart is sharpened, brethren and sisters. And I'm telling you, hold the faith, continue to keep doing the powerful works. When it comes to solution, I would say the power begins in the African family. The power begins in the African community. The power begins in you writing a book. The power, and I actually have 2 books on my website, www.mynatureroots.org, www.mynatureroots.org. Don't forget to go check out my website. I got 2 books, like maybe 3 years of writing, 3 or 4 years of writing is all comprised in a book. And a lot of this knowledge I'm spitting to you all, I got enough of it in there. So this is where it begins, family. See, now when it comes to you, it's like they're intimidated because of your majority. You have numbers. But the thing with African people, the number one thing that's going on with us as a people, we don't know how to organize. We don't know how to unify. We are so crab in a barrel. Like, someone might be exceeding, someone might be going up, and then, man, it's just one of those little hating, jealous, envious. It's kind of like Cain and Abel, right? How Cain was jealous of Abel. It's like a Cain just bringing down an Abel every time. You know what I'm saying? While the enemy's just over there laughing, just counting his money. Like, man, keep fighting, cool. Like, you know, I'm gonna just kick my feet up. I'm gonna get me a little private house on like Turks and Caicos or something on the beach, you feel me? I'm gonna drink me a nice little margarita. I'm gonna have me a good old time. Like, y'all can go out there, you can work in my warehouses, you can work my jobs and everything. Like, you can work for me, but guess what? I'm gonna be chilling and I'm gonna be eating off of everything that you're doing. It's the same thing before 1863, the slavery. You see what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, you gotta wise up. This is chess. This is chess and this is warfare. You're like, so whatever you doing in this world, whatever you doing with your life, make sure you doing something with your life. Don't just wake up, oh, okay, here goes another day. Nah, what you doing with it? It's like, so be a light, you know? So yeah, just leave some comments below. I know I'm passionate about this, man, but it's just like, yo, it's like one who has knowledge of or consciousness of what's really going on, he's probably enraged every single day. When you know what's going on and you know what has happened in history, you kind of want to go out there and start a riot. You like, you did what to my ancestors? You did what to my ancestors? You did what? And your ancestors lived through you. They lived through you. Period. So make sure you make them proud, all right? Make them proud and live this life with upfulness and righteousness. You know what I mean? Yeah. So one perfect love, man. I really appreciate y'all. Don't forget to go to my website, www.mynatruths.org, for my books. I got sea moss. I got Fulani hat. You know what I mean? I got Black Seed Oil. Just go check me out over there. You know what I'm saying? We need to support black business. White people always supporting their own. Asian people always supporting their own. Korean always supporting their own. And you steadily supporting them. You're going to be quick to go to Walmart or Target before you go support a brother or sister. Man, we gotta change that thinking, man. I know that these words have been an inspiration to you all to break some of the psychological chains and everything that's been placed on us as a people. And we got to wake up, man, like right now. It's like, and you got to make sure that you are walking in that righteousness, in the truth, so that the universe will bless you. I'm telling you, just walk with a pure heart. The 42 laws of Ma'at. The 42 laws of Ma'at. The ancestors have already laid it down for you. The wisdom is there. You like that. How do I live my life? How do I choose my friends? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I treat this person? How? I'm telling you, just read the ancient text. There is nothing new under the sun. Everything has already been done. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything has already been done. All right. So one perfect love. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and gotta get this wisdom, gotta get this knowledge, gotta get this divine understanding, man. And wake up, man, and live your life like you mean it. Live your life like you mean it, yo. Yeah. Freeform Natty. Blessed love. Perfect love. Bless.